Welcome, my friends. What if I told you that your life could start changing? Not in a year, not in a month, but in just 1 week. What if the version of you that you've been dreaming of, praying for, and silently hoping to become was only 5 decisions away? This isn't a fantasy, this is real, because when you commit even for 7 days, with intensity, clarity, and courage, transformation doesn't wait, it moves. Too many people are waiting for a perfect moment. Waiting for motivation, waiting for signs, but winners don't wait. They create asterisk, and the habits you build today will either break you or make you. This video isn't just another motivational talk, it's a wake-up call. A challenge, a roadmap, if you're tired of watching life pass you by, if you're ready to stop scrolling and start building, if you've got the fire deep down but need the fuel to light it, then stay locked in. Because these 5 habits didn't just shift my schedule, they reshaped my identity, and if you apply them, not someday, not later, but now, you won't just see change, you'll become the change. This is your moment. Lean in, let's go. Most people wake up and immediately reach for their phones. Notifications, messages, emails. They let the world dictate their mindset before they've even had a moment to breathe. But transformation doesn't begin with reacting to the outside. It starts by choosing what kind of inner state you want to carry into the world. When you start your morning with intention, you're not just setting the tone for your day, you're setting the tone for your life. The mind is vulnerable first thing in the morning. It's either going to be filled by design or by default. If you allow the world to fill it with urgency, chaos, and distraction, don't be surprised when your day follows the same pattern. But if you take charge and deliberately choose how you'll think, what you'll focus on, and how you'll show up, you activate a power that few tap into. The habit of beginning each day with intention is not about routines or rituals alone. It's about leadership, leading your own mind before anyone else does. It could be 5 minutes of silence, a question you ask yourself, a powerful affirmation, or writing down 3 things you're grateful for. These actions might seem small, but they are powerful signals to your brain. I choose clarity. I choose direction. I choose purpose. When this becomes consistent, your brain begins to operate from focus rather than fear. It begins to prioritize what matters rather than what screams the loudest. Starting with intention is also how you build emotional resilience. Because no matter how chaotic the world becomes, you already decided who you are today. You already anchored yourself in truth before facing pressure, and when you lead your thoughts, you lead your behavior. What you say, how you respond, what you chase, these become outcomes of your initial intention, not just reactions to your environment. There's a reason why some people stay grounded and driven no matter what happens. It's not luck, it's leadership, it's clarity, it's daily intentional design. This practice changed everything for me. When I stopped letting the world dictate how I feel and started choosing who I wanted to be before the day began, I began to lead differently, speak differently, build differently, and leave differently. The mornings became sacred, not because they were peaceful, but because they were mine. And when something is yours, you protect it, you guard it, you invest in it. That's what it means to start your morning with intention, not reaction. It's reclaiming your power before the world ever gets a chance to take it. The second habit that transformed my life in just 1 week was eliminating distractions with ruthless clarity. We live in a world that glorifies multitasking, where being busy is mistaken for being productive. But here's the truth. Distraction is the silent killer of purpose. Every time you allow your attention to be hijacked, whether by social media, meaningless conversations, or tasks that aren't moving you forward, you pay a price. And the most dangerous part is you don't even feel it at first. Distraction doesn't scream, it whispers. It slowly chips away at your focus, your energy, and your self-belief until you're left wondering why you feel tired, unfulfilled, or stuck. Once I realized this, I took a hard look at where my time was going. I started tracking how often I was checking my phone, how many hours were leaking into mindless scrolling, how many conversations I was entertaining that didn't align with my growth. It was uncomfortable, because we love to tell ourselves we're just taking a break or staying connected. But there's a difference between rest and escape. There's a difference between connection and distraction. One fills you, the other empties you, so I made a decision. If it doesn't move me forward, it doesn't get my time. If it doesn't grow me, it doesn't get my energy. And if it doesn't align with the future I'm building, it doesn't belong in my day. That level of clarity wasn't easy. Saying no is never easy, especially when it means disappointing people, missing out, or going against the norm. But every no I said to distraction was a yes to discipline, a yes to vision, a yes to transformation. I started noticing results almost immediately, not just in productivity, but in confidence. Because when you take control of your focus, you begin to believe in your ability to lead yourself. And self-leadership is where all lasting change begins. Most people don't lack time, they lack clarity, they don't lack talent, they lack focus. You can't grow into your potential while constantly being pulled away from it. And nobody's coming to protect your focus for you. You have to do that. You have to make it sacred, turn off notifications, say no to gossip, cut down on consumption and increase creation. Build an environment that rewards your highest self, not your most distracted one. When you eliminate distractions with ruthless clarity, you don't just create space for growth. You create a life that honors your purpose. And that kind of life doesn't just happen, it's built one focused day at a time. The third habit that transformed my life in just 1 week was speaking to myself with purpose, not passivity. We underestimate the power of the internal voice, the words we whisper in silence, the stories we repeat when no one is watching. The way we speak to ourselves becomes the script we live by. And too often, we allow our inner dialogue to be filled with doubt, hesitation, self-sabotage. We say things like, I can't, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough. And then we wonder why we hesitate when opportunity knocks or why we shrink when it's time to stand tall. The truth is, your mind listens to everything you say, and it believes you. Once I became intentional with how I spoke to myself, everything shifted. I stopped entertaining narratives that didn't serve me. I started replacing hesitation with conviction. Every morning, I looked in the mirror and declared who I was becoming, not who I had been. I reminded myself that discomfort wasn't a reason to quit. It was proof I was growing. I told myself I was disciplined, focused, resilient, even on the days I didn't feel that way, because I knew that identity isn't just discovered, it's declared. The way you speak about yourself sets the tone for how you show up, how you fight, how you lead. We often think motivation is external. We look for the right book, the right mentor, the right environment. But the most powerful motivator you'll ever find lives inside your own head. If you wake up every day feeding your mind excuses, you'll live a life full of regrets. But if you wake up speaking life into your vision, into your gifts, into your future, you'll start showing up with a different kind of energy. You'll start believing before you see results, and that belief creates momentum. Because nothing builds faster than a person who speaks with intention, acts with clarity, and carries themselves like the person they are becoming. This habit doesn't cost money. It doesn't require talent. It only requires awareness and repetition. Change your language, change your lens. And when you change your lens, you change your life. Stop waiting for someone else to tell you you're enough. You're ready, you're worthy. Start saying it yourself today, over and over again, even when you're tired, even when you're scared. Speak what you seek until it becomes your standard. Speak like a leader. Speak like a builder. Speak like a warrior. Because your words aren't just sound. They are strategy. They are your weapon. They are your foundation. And the more intentional you become with your inner dialogue, the more powerful your outer results will be. The fourth habit that transformed my life in just 1 week was cutting my distractions with ruthless discipline. In a world designed to steal your attention, you have to fight like your future depends on it. Because it does. Every notification, every scroll, every unnecessary conversation. These aren't just innocent time fillers. They are thieves, thieves of your clarity, your progress, your energy. And the hard truth is this. Most people aren't failing because they're not capable. They're failing because they're too distracted to be consistent. We've become addicted to the urgent while abandoning what's truly important. Our minds are split, our focus diluted, and our results watered down. For years, I told myself I was busy, when really I was just distracted. I'd sit down to work on my goals and end up buried in emails, messages, feeds, and tasks that added no real value to my life. I mistook activity for achievement, motion for meaning, but then something changed. I decided to track every single hour for 7 days, and what I saw shocked me. The truth stared back. I wasn't lacking time. I was leaking it. I wasn't lacking motivation. I was drowning in noise. That was the wake-up call. I made a decision. For 1 week, I would become obsessed with protecting my focus like it was sacred. I silenced my phone. I cleared my digital space. I said no, more than I ever had before, and in that silence I found something rare. Clarity. Clarity is a weapon. When you are clear, you are dangerous. Because most people are too foggy to move forward. They're chasing 10 different things at once and wondering why none of them work. But clarity can only be accessed when distractions are eliminated. That's where your true voice, your real desires, your deepest drive starts to speak. And when you hear it, you can't unhear it. You start designing your days with intention. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop scrolling and start building. That week taught me that focus is not something you find, it's something you protect. And you have to protect it every single day. If you want to change your life, don't start with more effort. Start with fewer distractions. Because when your attention is fractured, your power is divided. But when your attention is harnessed, your potential becomes unstoppable. Focus is your superpower, and once you reclaim it, you'll move faster, think sharper, and execute better than ever before. Because success doesn't just come to the most talented, it comes to the most focused. The fifth habit that transformed my life in just 1 week was learning to speak to myself like someone I deeply respected. For years, I didn't realize that the loudest voice shaping my reality wasn't coming from the outside. It was coming from within. Every time I failed, struggled, or even hesitated, my inner dialogue wasn't kind. It wasn't encouraging. It was brutal, judgmental, and often cruel. I would say things to myself I wouldn't dare say to another human being. And the result, I constantly guessed my choices, minimized my progress, and hesitated to take bold steps because I was afraid I wouldn't live up to my own impossible expectations. That voice was shaping my identity. It was programming my belief system, and it was limiting me far more than any external obstacle ever could. Then something shifted. One morning, after feeling like I had failed yet again at following through, I stopped and asked, what would I say to my best friend right now if they were in my shoes? The answer was obvious. I'd remind them they're human, that one mistake doesn't define them, that progress is still progress even if it's messy. And that moment exposed the double standard I was living under. Why was I extending compassion to others and cruelty to myself? Why was I patient with the world but impatient with my own growth? That week, I began practicing a new habit, conscious self-talk. Every morning, I'd look in the mirror and speak affirmations. Not fluffy, fake hype, but grounded, gritty truths. I'd remind myself of the challenges I've overcome, the strength I've shown, the values I live by. I began correcting the voice in my head every time it drifted toward doubt or criticism. I'd stop and say, that's not the voice I listen to anymore. Slowly, my confidence began to rebuild, not from ego, but from honesty. From honoring the truth that I'm trying, growing, showing up, and that counts for something. What I discovered is that your internal language becomes your external results. You don't rise above the level of your talent. You rise or fall based on the way you talk to yourself. If your inner voice is always telling you you're not good enough, you'll self-sabotage before the world even has a chance to. But when you speak to yourself with belief, you act with belief, and belief is a force multiplier. It doesn't guarantee success, but it guarantees resilience. And resilience is what gets you through the storms most people quit in. 1 week of intentional, compassionate, powerful self-talk built a foundation that I'll stand on for the rest of my life. Because when the voice inside you becomes your greatest coach instead of your harshest critic, there's nothing you can't face and nothing you can't become. The sixth habit that transformed my life in just 1 week was removing digital noise and reclaiming my mental clarity. We live in an age of constant stimulation. Every ding, buzz, notification, and scroll pulls us into a world that feels urgent but offers very little in return. What I realized was this: I wasn't just consuming content, I was letting it consume me. I was reacting all day long. My mind was cluttered with half-processed ideas, comparison traps, and a flood of voices that drowned out my own. The clarity I once had was buried beneath distractions disguised as entertainment or information. My focus was fractured, my creativity dimmed, and my inner peace traded for cheap dopamine hits. 1 week, that's all it took. I made the decision to silence the noise, to disconnect from everything that wasn't essential. I deleted apps that didn't serve me. I turned off all non-critical notifications. I set specific windows to check messages and emails, and the rest of the time, I protected my attention like my life depended on it. Because in a way, it did. Our life becomes the sum of what we give our attention to. If we give it to chaos, confusion, and other people's opinions, we lose ourselves. But if we give it to clarity, intention, and aligned action, we find direction. During that week, the transformation was undeniable. Within 48 hours of digital fasting, I could feel my mind breathing again. Ideas started flowing that had been buried under mental clutter. I became more present in conversations, in decisions, in my own thoughts. The silence that once felt uncomfortable began to feel powerful. I started hearing the still, honest voice inside me that always knew the next right step, but had been drowned out for far too long. And here's the most profound part. When you reduce external noise, your internal wisdom rises. You remember what truly matters. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. You stop chasing everyone's version of success and reconnect with your own. People think they're burned out from doing too much. But often, they're burned out from thinking too much about things that don't matter, that aren't aligned, that don't bring purpose or peace. By filtering what enters your mind, you control what flows out of your life. In 1 week, I created boundaries around my mind like I would a sacred space, because it is, and I made a vow to protect it. Not just for productivity, but for purpose. The world will always scream for your attention, but your destiny whispers. And you'll only hear it when the noise is gone. In that silence, I found clarity. I found direction. I found me. Let's be clear. True transformation is never about how long it takes. It's about how deeply you commit. In just 1 week, I witnessed firsthand what can happen when you stop making excuses and start making decisions. These 5 habits didn't require money, status, or the perfect timing. They required discipline, consistency, and a belief that I deserved more than just survival. I deserved growth, purpose, and peace. And so do you. The world doesn't need more people who are trying. It needs people who are doing G. People who are becoming. Every step you take, every habit you shift, every moment you choose courage over comfort. You're not just changing your week, you're changing your future. So as you walk away from this video, don't just be inspired, be intentional. Pick one habit, start today, build momentum, and watch your life rise to meet the standard you set. Thank you for spending your time with me. If this message sparked something inside you, then share it, live it, and never settle again. Your best life isn't ahead of you. It starts now. Let's keep growing together. You've got this.